Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Erica, and today I'm going to lead you through a sequence of postures that are designed for cyclists. So specifically getting into some of the troubly areas that we get from riding a bicycle on a regular basis. So I'm going to use a few props today. One, I'm near a wall. If you don't have a wall handy, it'll be okay. I'll tell you how to modify the stuff to do it without the wall. But if you do have a wall that you can lean against, that would be great. A blanket that is rolled lengthwise. I'm using a blanket. You could be using a towel kind of rolled lengthwise. One of those like foam pool noodles would work. Something so that you're getting about this shape. I'm going to use a block, possibly 2 blocks. Again, if you don't have blocks handy. Anything that you can use to bring the floor closer to you. So a coffee can, a large can of beans or tomatoes, a roll of paper towels. These are all things that you might have around your house besides actual technical yoga props. And then I'm going to finish in a yin version of bridge, which is a supported bridge. So I'll be using a block on its lowest setting. If you don't have the block, again, maybe folding over the blanket in a different way so that you can get a little bit of elevation underneath of your hips. Or maybe the roll of paper towels, depends on how sturdy it is. But finding something, a small pillow would work as well. All right, so we'll begin in a standing position. So it's time to find Tadasana. So some people like to take Tadasana with the feet together. If this is what you're used to and this is comfortable for you, go for it. I like to take the feet about sit bone distance width apart, and generally judging that, it's about 2 fist widths distance between the feet. So toes are pointed forward, soft bend into the knees, it's kind of a micro bend so we're not locking out. Lift up all 10 of the toes, spread them wide, place them back down onto the mat. Press down through the ball mount of the foot, press through the outer edge of the foot, the heel of the foot, lift through the arch of the foot. Isometrically move your legs away from one another. So they're not going to go anywhere because the feet are on the sticky mat, right? But start to pull them away and just see how that turns on the muscles of the leg. Again, not locking out the knees. Following that lift from the arch up through the inseam, in through the pelvis. Gently drawing the low belly and the navel back towards the spine. Think about lifting the frontal hip bones, lifting the rib cage away from the hips, lifting the heart away from the rib cage. Maybe draw the shoulders up towards the ears consciously, kind of ooh, and then sigh and let them roll down and back. So shoulder blades come towards one another on the back. Not a whole lot of effort here, but just kind of a neutral or a soft allowing the placement of the shoulder blades on the back, and the arms roll forward, elbow creases and palms facing forward. And then from here, lifting through the roof of the mouth, the crown of the head, really growing long. Imagine your spine growing from tailbone out through the crown of the head. Chin floats parallel with the earth. I invite you to take the gaze down at one point on the floor. And just take a moment here, feeling yourself in Tadasana, mountain pose. Really nice, strong, stable, like a mountain. A couple of breaths. All right. And then you're going to draw your chin back towards your neck. If you can imagine like sliding your teeth towards the back of your throat. And then from here, begin to gently bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. So making sure that the shoulder is not reaching up to meet the ear, right? We want to keep the shoulders nice and loose. Ear is coming down towards the right shoulder. And pause here. And you might not get your ear as close over to your shoulder as you're used to with your head in this alignment. That's okay. And then gently, again, taking some micro movements. So turning the chin and the gaze slightly down, and then slightly back up. And so you can probably feel all of the little muscles and tendons in the neck as you do this. So bringing the chin back down again. And back up, checking in that the right shoulder is not trying to creep up. And back down again. Parting the teeth, making sure the jaw isn't clenched. And back up again. And then bring it down, and then gently roll the chin in towards center, so the chin is down towards your chest. And then inhale to bring the head back up to neutral. Second side, drawing the chin back towards the neck, getting that cervical spine alignment, and then beginning to bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Inviting both of the shoulders to soften down and away from the ears. And then begin to turn the chin down, the gaze down towards the floor, and then up to the sky. And so taking really slow, intentional movement here. And you might get some little pops or clicks, kind of noticing what's going on. Breathing as you roll the head back and forth. And if you find any places along the way that feel really sticky and you want to kind of stay there and take some little movements within that area, by all means, do what feels right. And then once more, up to the ceiling, and then back down towards the floor, gently bringing the chin around to the center of the chest. Take a breath, and then bring the head back up to neutral. And then let's just take some little half circles with the neck, then the head, rolling from one side to the other. Again, keeping your jaw soft, maybe opening the mouth. Inviting a yawn type of reaction. If it feels okay for your neck to go all the way back around, you can. But then going the other direction. Alright, and then coming back to center. Cool, so the next thing we're going to do is against the wall. You can do this just standing free if the wall is not available to you. So I'm going to step back against the wall, bringing the heels more or less towards the wall. It kind of depends on how much you got going on in the back section. But bringing the back of your body, so the back of your hips, and your shoulders back against the wall. Again, inviting the shoulder blades to move on and down to the back. And then inhale, bring the arms out into a T. Stretch long fingertip to fingertip across, inviting some opening across the collarbones. Inhale here. And exhale, let's bend the elbows, keeping the upper arm as it is, and bring the arms into like a cactus shape or a goalpost arm. Breathing here. And so now, side note, your left arm is in the position to signal when you're riding a bicycle that you're going to make a right turn. Okay? Inhale here, and then exhale, begin to lower the arms down to halfway. Pause here. Inhale and exhale, straighten the arms out, bring the palms maybe to touch. And then inhale, arms back open. Exhale to bend. Inhale, bent, inviting the opening across the chest, feeling the chest expand. And as you exhale, rolling the arms down. This time we're going to keep going all the way down. So your hands may or may not come anywhere near the wall behind you. It's going to really depend on your shoulder mobility. It might even be uneven within your own body, i.e. like my right shoulder doesn't have as much mobility as my left. So it's easy for me to get my left hand down, and my right arm's not going to. So, side note here, your left arm is now in the position to signal when you are riding a bicycle that you are slowing down and or about to stop. So inhale, raise them back up. Exhale to stay. Inhale, straighten the arms, palms come towards one another. And exhale, bring them back out. Inhale, grow long, fingertip to fingertip. And exhale, bend the elbows again. Bring the hands back up towards the ceiling, cactus arms. Inhale here. Exhale, begin to roll them down. Inhale, take them out straight. And exhale, flip the palm, rotate the arm, bring the hands together. Inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, allow them to come down by the side. So you can repeat that multiple times whenever, just to get that good shoulder rotation. And again, this is a right turn, this is a left turn, and this is slowing down, stopping. All right, so for the next exercise, we're going to go ahead and take the feet a little bit wider than we did before. So if you're in Tadasana like here, it's maybe about another like foot's width out, 6-ish inches. So that it's like a little bit wider than your shoulders. It's not like the widest possible stance that you can take, but somewhere in the middle. And then I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see. So from here, same thing with Tadasana. I'm going to root down through the outer edges of the foot, lift up through the arch. Right, feeling that engagement, turn on, micro bending the knees so I'm not locking out, right? Feeling that stability happen in my pelvis, going up from there. And then taking the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, clasping the hands. You can start with the elbows bent, and then notice the shoulders kind of roll forward here. Invite the shoulders back, the elbows back, as if someone were drawing your elbows together. Inhale here. Exhale, soften the shoulders down the back. Right, so they're not creeping up into the ears, the neck is growing really nice and long. And then begin to take your hands away from your sacrum, inhaling, stretching the chest up towards the ceiling, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze. So now check in with what's going on in your midsection. There can be a tendency to kind of like splay open and just kind of dump into the back. We're going to avoid that. So think about engaging the muscles of your core, kind of that 360 around your abdomen and core section, and knitting in the ribs, and from there growing up and lifting the heart. Another breath here, inviting the shoulders to soften down, and then softening everything in, release, step the feet back together. And you can repeat that again as many times as feels good for you, maybe like 3 times. It is good to kind of counter like this motion that a lot of us are in when we're riding bicycles. So next up, again, we're gonna play with a little bit of balance here. So it'll be a combination of kind of doing a little bit of hip opening as well as just building some more stability through the leg. So there can tend to be a lot of tightness in the hips and like the quadriceps and that from riding a bicycle. And so this can kind of help to invite that hip to open a little bit. Get a nice stretch up through there and then through the glutes. So we'll do this balancing on one leg. So if balance is like an for you, maybe having like a chair nearby, that wall is nearby again. But find your solid foundation. So shifting the weight into the left foot slightly, and being really steady and strong through that left leg. So there can be a tendency for like the hips to kind of go out to the side, drawing that hip in and coming up onto the toes of the right foot, and then just bringing the heel in, the right foot towards the left leg, checking in with that hip again, nice and tall, rooted. And then putting a soft bend into the left knee. Let's draw the right leg up and over, crossing it. So you might use your hands to cross the ankle of the right foot over the left thigh. Again, you can see it kind of like kicks out to the side, drawing that back in, finding that stability. And then I'm inviting my right hip, my right thigh to turn, the knee to point out into the side, flexing through the right foot, so that I can keep this stretch mostly up in the thigh. It might feel it a little bit into my knee. That's okay if you feel a little bit of a stretch into your knee, but if it gets like twingy or like a sharp pain, you can back out. So taking a handhold if you need it, keeping the hands at the waist, keeping the hands at heart center, finding what works for you, beginning to bend that left knee and sit back with the hips, kind of hinging forward slightly, like you're sitting into a chair that you'll never find. So coming down here, finding one fixed point to look at, maybe about like 6 or so feet ahead of you on the floor, or the gaze straight ahead, looking at something that's not moving, finding a drishti, a focal point. Drawing the low belly in, finding length even here through the torso, right? Sort of just like crunching in and collapsing everything. There's still length. Nice steady breath. Maybe I take my right hand down, invite my right hip to open slightly. Stay for 3, 2, 1. And then gently coming back up the way we came in, maybe kicking the right leg out, a little counter stretch, and then bringing it back down. All right, second side. So rooting down into the right foot, again, coming to the toes on the left leg, inviting that right leg to really turn on, activate, get strong. And then we'll bring the left foot in, and then up and across. Again, finding the drishti, drawing that right hip in, growing really tall, finding a place for the hands, and then beginning to sit down into the chair. So noticing if this side feels different from the other, right? One side is probably a little tighter than the other. Quite possibly our bodies a lot of times aren't symmetrical. Ooh. Finding one place to look at. I invite you to come back to your breath here. See if you can make your breath nice and steady and long. There can be a tendency to hold the breath when we try to do balancing poses. Guess what? It doesn't help. It feels like it's going to, but it doesn't. So just finding that nice, long, steady breath. And let's stay for 3, for 2, maybe inviting the hip open with the left hand, for 1, and then gently coming back out the way we came in, counter stretch, and then bringing the foot back down to the floor. So next up, let's move into a little something for the hands and the wrists, right? Because we're like gripping the bicycle handles, the handlebars, and sometimes there can be like a leaning forward, some pressure on the wrist. So I want to counter that. Take the arms out straight, bring the fingers out straight, spread the fingers wide, and then begin to bend the wrists down, taking the fingers towards the floor. You can straighten your arms any amount. See if your shoulders are hunching. Let's draw the shoulders back. In fact, if you want, you can bend the elbows, because we're really just trying to get into the wrist and into the forearm a little bit here. Breathing here. And then taking some little circles with the wrists, moving in one direction. And then moving in the other direction. And then shake it out a little bit. And then if you take your hands, and if you can imagine, like, you pull your fingers into your thumb like you're going to flick water, right? So it's like this. It's kind of like a jazzy hand thing happening. We're going to do this motion, right? And we're going to add in arms. So start getting your flick happening down. Inhale, bring the arms up. Overhead. Exhale, bring them back down through center. Flicking the fingers. Inhale out to the side. Exhale down through center. Let's go the other way. Inhale up. Exhale out and back. Oh yeah, it's a nice stretch into the shoulder too, yeah? Inhale up. Exhale around. Inhale up. Ooh, maybe feel this a lot intense in the forearms. Let's go 2 more circles. This is also a really great counter to like all of the texting and things that we do with our fingers, right? Last one. Ooh. All right. And then just give it a little shake. Maybe feel the sensation. Fingertips, the palms, maybe super tingly. All right, so we got a little bit of this happening here. I want to get some more stretch into the shoulder and the pec. So again, I'm going to use a wall. If you don't have a wall, you can do this laying down on your stomach, okay? So I'm going to come to face the wall, and my feet are kind of at an angle. They're not like pointing perfectly at the wall. They're not perfectly horizontal with it or parallel with it. Kind of at an angle here so that I can turn and get my torso onto the wall. And then I bring my hands out into a T. So checking to see that the palms, the arms are level with the shoulders, right? I'm going to turn my head back to look at the right side. I'm going to start by stretching the left. So bringing my right hand a little bit further down on the wall. I'm going to step my right foot out and around and back behind the left foot, turning, and then I'm going to turn my torso away from the wall. So I'm keeping my I'm looking to turn my torso to be perpendicular with the wall. And my left arm is still out straight behind me. Might walk the fingers out a little bit further, pressing actively into that left hand. And breathing here. So this can be quite an intense stretch, so really invite you to find a nice, long, steady, even breath. Maybe noticing where you're putting effort in here, right? Pressing into the hand. And where you might be able to soften, maybe on an exhale, inviting the shoulder to relax a little bit. Stay for a couple more breaths. And the right hand can be down at the side, or it can be on the wall to support. And one more breath. And then I'm going to step back and lower the arm down by the side. Maybe just take a moment here, feel the difference in sensation from left to right arm. Left arm might feel like way more awake, feel the blood flow moving differently again. All right, and I'm going to do the other side. So we'll do the other side just like the first side. So coming to face the wall, and then stretching the arms out into a T so that the arm is level with the shoulder. And then we're going to step that left foot back around behind the right, bringing the torso to be perpendicular-ish with the wall. So this is pretty intense. If you have a lot of mobility in your shoulder and you're like, no, I'm like not even feeling this, or you want to go more, you can bend your elbow back into that cactus arm and find the stretch here. You can also reach back with your left arm and sort of hook your right hand on your right, or your left hand on your right hip, and lever yourself a little bit deeper into the stretch. I'm going to keep my arms straight because I think that is actually really enough sensation, and it's actually really nice because you're able to press the palm in and find length through the shoulder as it stretches. So finding what works for you. And again, bringing awareness back to breath, maybe inviting that breath to be nice and long and steady. And exhale, inviting a little softness to happen. And stay for one more rounded breath. And then as you're ready, gently coming away from the wall. And again, just take a moment, feel the sensation, coming back into the right palm and the hand, fingertips. All right, I'm gonna take a couple rolls with the shoulders, and then let's come on down to seated. So I'm gonna take a comfortable cross-legged seat, whatever that's gonna look like for you. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. You can sit up on the edge of something if it helps you to elevate your pelvis a little bit. If it's hard to sit up straight, sometimes it can kind of help to bring the pelvis into alignment, which then the spine can come into alignment. Let's inhale and bring the arms out to the side. Exhale and bring the fingertips to the shoulders. Invite the shoulders to soften down away from the ears. Inhale through the chest. Exhale, turn the torso to the right. So this is a little bit of a different stretch here because we're not twists. We're not using our arms to kind of leverage ourselves in. So we're really using the muscles of the torso to turn the body versus using the arms to kind of force us in. Maybe the gaze comes back over the right shoulder. Finding breath. Another inhale, growing tall. And on your exhale, unwinding back to center. Inhale, growing tall through the spine, through the crown of the head. And exhale, we're going to twist over to the left. Again, using the muscles of the torso versus the arms to wrench ourselves into something. So inhaling, growing tall, and exhaling to stay. Maybe you twist a little deeper. Maybe the gaze comes back over the left shoulder. So I always like to think about my spine as being an axis point, and then my ribs and my guts and everything moving around that. can kind of be helpful for twists. So you're still trying to maintain a really nice, straight, tall spine. One more breath here. And exhale, back to center. All right, maybe take a couple rolls with the shoulders, side to side. Okay, so next up we're going to come up to kneeling. So we're getting into this guy. So I don't really have a name for this aside from calf smashers. So it is kind of just a myofascial release, and it kind of helps to get into the little knots and things that maybe we don't even really realize are in the calves, but for people that walk a lot, and definitely people who bicycle a lot, they can be there. So if you need cushioning under your knees, by all means, put a blanket or double over your mat. And then I'm going to take the roll and tuck it all the way back into the knee joint, as far back as it will go. And then I'm going to begin to come to sit back. So this actually also might be where you might want your blocks, bringing the blocks back by the hips. Begin to put the weight back down. Ooh, yeah. So this is smashing into my calves. Definitely feeling some sensation here. So if this is like too much sensation, that's where your blocks can come in handy. Kind of lift yourself up off so your hips, you're taking some of the weight out. And you can also do that kind of moving out and in, but you want to be not really using your legs, right? You're using your arms to push yourself here. So you can invite the muscles of the leg to kind of relax. Ooh. Maybe shifting slightly side to side. And then what's going on with your breath? Checking in there. Did it get really shallow? Maybe inviting it to be long and steady. And then coming back up, I'm going to move the roll down. So now it's kind of more across like the medial, like the mid part of the calf muscle. And I'm going to sit back again. Noticing here, ooh, hi, there's a little knot for sure. Noticing here what sensation's happening. Again, if you want to move in and out a little bit, maybe shifting slightly side to side to roll it out. Deep breaths in, and with the exhale, just inviting everything to soften, release. And then coming forward once more. Let's take the roll. If you need to, if it's super squished out, maybe readjusting the shape of it, bringing it down to the base of the calf muscle. And then sitting back again. And again, maybe rocking a little bit side to side here. Inviting that release with every exhale. All right, and then we'll go one more time, taking the roll back down to the base of the calf, or the base of, by the ankle, so kind of on the Achilles. And then setting back on that, and rocking side to side. So this is bringing a stretch, or bringing the little massage into the Achilles. It's also probably up towards the top of the hamstrings, can be really nice, moving towards where the hamstrings and the sit bones meet. It can also be a nice stretch into the top of the foot. Another breath here. All right, let's come on up. Let's take the blanket off to the side. And then we'll come into a little bit of a dynamic movement between a half Hanumanasana, so a half split, and a forward lunge. So again, you might have your blocks handy here. And coming to kneeling, again, if you want your knees padded, by all means do. And let's start with the left side. So we're going to step the left leg forward. So you have like a 90-degree angle and then like a little bit further forward. And then inhale, shift the hips forward, bending into the left knee a little bit deeper. And it's okay if the left knee comes out like a little bit over the ankle, like forward to the ankle, that's fine. You should be able to look down and see your the inside edge of your left foot, your big toe. So you might have your hands to your thigh. You might have your hands down on these blocks. Inhale, Lift the heart, lift the gaze. And exhale, we're gonna start to straighten the left leg, bending forward, sinking the hips back towards the foot, coming up onto the heel of the left foot and stretching into the back of the left leg. So check in the tendency for the hips to shift over to the right. Bring the hips back so that they're square. So it might mean that you don't go back as far. It's okay because you're getting the stretch. Pressing in through the heel of the foot, or out through the heel of the foot rather, drawing the toes back for the face. Pause for an inhale. Stay for the exhale. And then on your next inhale, we'll begin to shift forward. Again, bending into the left knee, dropping into the right hip. So stretching through the front of the right hip flexor, getting into the top of the quadricep. Again, checking so that we're not dumping into the back, right? Still have a nice core engagement, nice solid, steady foundation support to then lift out of. And then exhaling, moving back into that half split, half Padmanasana. And then inhaling to come forward. And exhaling to move back. So moving with your breath. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Let's do that twice more. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And exhaling back. And then go ahead and switch out the knees, the legs. So now I'm on my left knee, stepping forward with the right, and walking the right foot forward so that it makes it an appropriate length for you to lunge forward here. Again, hands could be on the blocks, hands could be on the thigh. Inhale here, drawing the core in, finding that nice stable foundation, and from there, throwing up through the front of the body, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze, shoulders drop back. Inhale, and then exhale, beginning to straighten the right leg, shifting the hips back, coming onto the right heel. Again, you're gonna see my left hip wants to pitch up to the side. I'm gonna draw that back in and move straight back. So again, maybe not going as deeply into the stretch, but getting more of a better quality. Pressing out through the heel, pulling the toes back towards the face. Oh yeah. Stay for a breath. And then on your next inhale, we'll come forward. And exhale, rock back. So moving with your breath. Inhaling to come forward. Exhaling to rock back. Watching that hip, making sure it's not splaying out to the side. Inhale, coming forward. Lifting the heart. Exhale to come back. Let's do that twice more. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And exhaling back. A nice final stretch there. And then step the knee back to meet the left. All right, so for this next stretch, we're gonna use the wall. Definitely gonna want a blanket or something to pad my knees. I would advise it very strongly for your knees as well. There's not a super graceful way of getting into this. We're gonna take the blanket up against the wall. We're gonna turn so the toes are pointed towards the wall. And then I'm gonna kind of swing my legs to the side so I can step back with my left knee and put my left shin and foot up against the wall, drawing the knee down to the floor. Then from here, I'm gonna step my right foot around, and you could use blocks here if you need like the extra space. Okay. And so from here, so now I've got like a 90-degree angle in my right leg. I'm gonna bring my hands up to my knee. All right, so already, this is a stretch into the front of the left quadricep. Pretty intense. So, staying here, or if you wanna go deeper, more intensity, more stretch, you're gonna bring your shoulders back towards the wall, bring your back towards the wall, bring your arms up overhead. Ooh boy. I'm actually gonna bring my hands down. It's a little bit more than I want right now. And breathing here. Again, inviting that long, steady breath, inviting some softness with each exhale. And stay for 3, for 2, for 1. Oh, slowly coming forward. Again, not a super graceful way of getting out. Just kind of step the leg forward. And you can pause between sides, maybe setting back on the toes, getting a stretch to the bottom of the foot. And then we'll come forward and we'll do the same thing, stepping the right leg back to the right shin and foot are at the wall, and stepping the left foot forward and climbing up, maybe using your blocks. And if you didn't have a wall, so if you're at the wall, coming up to where you want to be. So if you want to come up against the wall, oh boy. Yeah, it like doesn't even want to go back all the way on this side for me. So if you're against the wall, find your place on the wall and stay and breathe. If you don't have a wall, you can do this freestanding, coming into 90 degree, and then rocking, pulling the foot up towards the seat, and then bringing the hips back to level. And the hands can come to the thigh or stay on the block. Wherever you're at, take another 2 deep breaths in and out. And then release. And let's come down to the floor. So we're going to come into a yin version of bridge, which is a supported bridge. So I'm going to use a block. If you don't have the block, I think you could use a small pillow, maybe fold the blanket over like so. This is giving me something that's pretty vaguely, pretty close to the block shape. And then coming down onto the back with the knees bent, feet on the floor. Maybe take a second to settle in, arrive on the floor, maybe shifting side to side from the hips. Again, walking a shoulder blade under, another shoulder blade under, inviting the shoulder blades down on the back, inviting that rotation of the arms so that the inner creases of the elbows and the palms come up. Excuse me. And then feet are about sits bone distance apart, and then gently lift up your hips just enough so that you can slide the block or blanket, whatever you're using, underneath your pelvis, and then lower the hips back down. So take a moment and get yourself adjusted. Sometimes the block doesn't land right with the hips, right? If you feel any pinching, or if it's like jabbing into your back, or feels really uncomfortable, just kind of move yourself around a little bit until you find a place where you can really, there we go, just settle and let the weight of the hips sink into the block. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale. Oh, just let everything soften and grow heavy. So the shoulders are heavy, the head's heavy, the back's heavy, the pelvis is heavy, the feet are heavy. So this might be good for you right here. This might be like, this feels great, I'm staying. If you want to go a little further, you walk your feet out about, halfway, not quite straight, and check out what it feels like to be here. And then maybe straighten the legs all the way out. And again, taking an inhale and exhaling, allowing everything to soften and grow heavy. Palms are facing up. Shoulders are relaxing away from the ears. The legs might start to turn out slightly to the side. Just allow the whole leg to relax and be heavy. Feet are heavy. Knees are heavy. The thighs are heavy, the pelvis is heavy, the torso moving into the ribs, back, shoulder, it's all heavy. You're softening the gaze or closing the eyes. And again, noticing the breath. Your inhale is really nice and long and steady. Breathing into the front body, maybe think about the in and through the frontal hip crease. And exhale, everything lets go. You can stay here as long as it's comfortable for you. When you're ready, we'll move into Shavasana. So rebending the knees and gently taking the block out from underneath of you, allowing the hips to move back. Maybe windshield wipering the knees side to side a couple of times. Doesn't have to be like a real intense twist, but just a little bit kind of helps to release the back. And then straighten the leg. We could just, straighten the legs out, finding Shavasana. So feet are out a little bit wider, maybe towards the edges of the mat. Turning the arms, the palms can be facing up and receiving. Or if you feel like you'd like more grounding, just take the palms and flip them and face them down. Closing the eyes. If that feels okay for you, or just softening the gaze. Taking a moment to notice your inhale, your exhale, your inhale, and then with your exhale, just let it all go. And just be. I invite you to stay resting in Shavasana for several minutes. When you're ready to come out, begin by deepening your breath and wiggling fingers and toes. And then you're taking the arms up overhead, early morning stretch, and releasing the fingers, pressing the palms away. Bring the arms back down to the side. Turn your head to the right and pause. And turning your head back through center and then to the left and pause. Keeping the eyes closed with the gaze soft. Begin to roll onto the left side, using your left arm as a pillow, into a fetal-esque position. Feeling yourself supported here by the earth for just a moment. Maybe you feel your heart beat against the earth. And then when you're ready, using the strength of your arms to press yourself back up into a seat. Keeping the gaze soft with the eyes closed, I invite you to bring your palms to touch one another in front of your heart. Press the thumbs gently into the sternum, lift the heart back into the thumbs. Take a moment, have some gratitude. Think of something that brings you joy, for which you're really thankful. Take a moment to give yourself thanks for taking some time out of your day to move and breathe in a mindful way. I thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure and an honor to lead through these practices. Bow your head to your heart if that feels right for you. Thank you so much. Take care. Be well.